Well. Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the live with Eric and Soso. Listen, it's no surprise that you guys, I am solo. There is no Soso. She should be on shortly, but what I wanted to do was come in and finish the conversation that we started last week. I really we started out this thing talking about 8 conversations that you should have before you say I do, and I kind of want to go just into that just a little bit, and kind of get your direction because we talk about 8 conversations, but man, there's as many conversations as you can have before you say I do. It's going to be important. I really want you to understand that. So what I did was kind of went through and picked out 8 that I think that are important. But if it was 8 or if it was 8,000, trust me, there is not a limit on how many conversations that you can have when it comes to um, marriage. When it comes to just saying, hey, I am about to do something that, listen, I am, this is going to be for the rest of my life, so this is going to be a decision that I'm making. And see, this is how we're thinking. We're saying, okay, this is going to be a message that I'm going to do, and it's going to be for the rest of my life. So how many conversations can you have? There is no limit to those things. So I'm going to recap on on yesterday, well, on last week. Just hold tight, let me take care of it. Well, we're going to do it like that. Yeah, I got 100 things going on. Okay, so we're gonna recap on last week, and then we're gonna jump right onto this thing. We're not gonna be on long, but if you have any questions, you have any comments, make sure that you put it in the chat, and I do have the chat going. Last week we did the first 4. Okay, so number one, we talked about the trust and commitment. Okay, and we talked about how important that conversation is because everybody don't have the same views on when it comes to trust and when it comes to commitment. So I just feel like that is going to be one of those major um, hold on, hold on 1 second. Your girl So is texting me. Um, let's see. Let me do this right quick. She it's all good. We I um like I said, she's planning to come on, and hey, life happens, and especially when you're doing things live, because this is live. Okay, but let's see, we're gonna get back into this thing. So we talk about trust and commitment, and and then we went into number 2. We talked about the conflict. Okay, man, listen, if you are, once again, I want to set this up. If you're talking about, man, I want to spend my plan is to spend the rest of my life with this person here, then I got to have a conversation on how do you handle conflict. Listen, every family is not the same. One of the things, and let me just go back a bit because I'm used to doing this with a host, so it's a little different. I do a show. I do lives all the time, and I'm just with myself. But this one is a little different. But what I will say this: when we approach this format, we wanted to deal with relationships. We wanted to have a place where we can have these honest and open, conversations. Okay, so this podcast is really about, taking relationships to the next level. It's about having those open and honest conversations, and when it comes to these eight you know mandatory conversations that you need to have. I think this is fitting right into what we believe in, the whole uh, theory, the whole message that we have around this podcast. Okay. So when we talk about conflict, then what I want you to understand is that just because you view conflict one way, doesn't mean that your partner view it the same way. Okay, what I mean by that is, you may have a partner that believes in avoidance of conflict. Okay, you that may be the way that he handles things or she handles things. Okay, hey, that's how they broke. That may be what they seen growing up. Okay, and you, on the other hand, may be the person that says, you know what, I believe that if we're gonna have conflict, then we should hit it head on, and that is how you're going to handle. That's how I handle conflict, is that no, we're not going to brush it out under the rug. We're not going to act like it didn't happen. We're going to deal with it, and that's how we move on. Okay. If you just look at those two opposite dynamics, you can understand that, man, moving forward into a marriage, that is going to be crucial, to how, when that happened. And trust me, it is going to happen. Conflict is going to happen in that relationship, and it's going to be important you that you know how to handle it. I'll just put it like this. And I'm getting these messages in here. I should have cut this phone off, but it's all good. Okay, so now, and since we're talking about conflict, I want to bring this up last week as well. um Conflict does not have to be a bad thing. Okay, conflict can be something that if you handled it correctly, it can be the best thing that you can have in your marriage. Trust me, I know it sounds crazy, but I teach this class called the 10 Commandments of Marriage, and one of those commandments are, thou shalt make conflict thy ally. And the whole premise behind it is, um you can when you have conflict, if you treated it correctly, then your spouse is going to literally be telling you everything that you need to know to solve this problem. And we just go there. We're going to number three. Okay, number three was sex and intimacy, romantic. You know what are those connecting points? What makes you happy? So part of those eight conversations that's important to have is, how do your spouse view intimacy? What is their version of romantic? You know, um, when it comes to sex, I'm gonna tell you, the big thing is, you know how how much sex is enough. Okay, are you once a week person? Are you a three times a week, or maybe you're 3 times a day person? But what I want you to understand, when you're looking at these conversations that you got to have, that you should have before you get married, I want you to look at them and say, you know what, it's important that we at least have this conversation, because we are planning on doing something that once we do it, once it's done, it's going to be forever. And we have to understand it that way because nobody really gets married, with the whole thought that yeah, we're going to be getting divorced in the next 6 months or 6 years, or even 16 years. Nobody really gets married with that. When they get married, they're thinking, okay, you know what, this is going to be forever. Okay. And so you want to know, what are your views on what is your views on sex? What's your views on intimacy? Number four was work and money. Money is issues aren't really about money. They are about what money means to the partner. Okay. But people really kind of get that mixed up, and but that's a conversation that you have to have because discovering what money means to both you and your partner will go a long ways in resolving, conflicts that you may have when it comes to areas surrounding money. So, what are your work ethics like? One of the things that I found in my, in my, you know, uh, span as a relationship coach is that uh you start out one way, which is understandable, and but then you end up shifting and going another way. Okay. I'll give you an example. Just say you started out working a 9 to 5, but then you all of a sudden you had these dreams of becoming an entrepreneur, and so you quit your job, and then all of a sudden you're entrepreneur. Well, that's a conversation to have before you get married, because you may be marrying a person that don't believe in entrepreneurship. So once you get married, and for your fact that you always want to be an entrepreneur, but then all of a sudden you change, and now you go from 9 to 5, and now you want to now you out here working more than you ever worked before, and man, your home life is just totally jacked up because um because you shifted. And now, if you can shift all you want if you sat down and had that conversation, but that once again is one of those things that you want to make sure that y'all on the same page, because if you have a dream of becoming an entrepreneur, and you working at the dealership right now, but you want to own your own car lot one day, have that conversation up front. Let your spouse know that, what, I want to marry you, but I want you to understand that one day I want to open my own dealership. So when that happens, it's not going to be a big shock, because you already told your future wife, your future husband, that, hey, these are the plans that I have, and we have these conversations before we even got married. So it's not going to be this big shocker. What's going to really happen is you saying, you know what, we talked about that before we got married, and I understand. Okay. Now here's a big one. We're gonna these are what we didn't cover, and we're gonna go ahead and knock these on out. Okay. Let's see. Number five is family. So conversation that you wanna have with your spouse before you get married. You want to have that conversation about family. Oh man, what a big conversation. Listen, you don't just marry your spouse. Okay, you don't just marry your spouse. You marry your spouse, and you marry your in-laws. All of those are going to be connected. I know people going to have their different views on how they look at it, and I totally understand that. But whether you are a very family oriented person or not, it's going to be important that you have this conversation. I'll give you an example. If you are maybe you grew up, as the only child, and it was just only you and your parents, and Thanksgiving was just you and your parents, and Christmas was just you and your parents, and you grew up just you and your parents, but then you married, you are proposing to marry someone who comes from a large family. Every holiday is a big celebration. Every Sunday, everybody's gathers over the house. Everybody's cooking and everybody's having fun, and it's 20, 30, 40 people in the house, and this is a every week occurrence. Well, that could be a conflict, and you have to discuss this thing, because um if you a person that's used to being by yourself, and you marry somebody who's used to being not by themselves because they with a big crowd of people, then it can be very hard on the relationship, because they are two different people. Okay. You may even find, when you have this conversation, that maybe we're not really quite made for each other, because we come from different backgrounds. And what I want you to understand is that it's not that these conversations are made to say, okay, how can we come together? Okay, maybe these conversations are dealt because we're finding out how or why we should be apart. And the reason why I want you to understand that this is important, because what I've been saying the whole time is that, this is such an important decision, to where I would rather you have these conversations now and decide if you're supposed to move forward, than to get married and then now become another part of the divorce stats. Okay, man, so it's so important. So number six, your fun, your adventure. What do you do for fun? What do relaxing look for you? Looks to you. If you're gonna have a successful relationship, man, you're gonna have to have fun. It's gonna be vital to the success of your marriage, man. So that has to be a conversation. If you're gonna connect with somebody who has a different view of fun, and what I mean is that you may literally you can marry a person that is so goal oriented. Okay, and you both can be on vacation, and that person, whole objective is, okay, we're here at point A, let's get to point B, and that's the whole deal. And you may be a person, you're still on the same vacation, and now you're saying, okay, let's get to we're gonna end up at point B, but let's stop and smell the roses along the way. Man, when we both on the same vacation, but we are viewing it so different. And I promise you, if you want to save yourself a lot of conflict, if you want to save yourself some potential hurt, find out, what how do you how do you view taking a vacation. What is a good vacation for you? Even as you're talking about something as simple as, a good vacation is going on a cruise, or maybe the other person will say, what, I don't even like boats, but but all I'm saying is, once again, have the conversation. And number seven is growth and spirituality. The only constant in a relationship is change. The key to how each person in a relationship accommodate growth, man, is going to be very important. Growth and spirituality is so important. um, um, the worst thing that you can do the worst thing that you can do is connect with someone that may not have the same faith that you have. Um and I promise you, now, is it, is it a deal breaker? It don't automatically have to be a deal breaker, but this is what I want you to understand when it comes to spirituality. When things get tough, you're going to want to lean towards your spiritual connection. Man, it'd be so much better if you and your spouse was leaning in the same direction. And that's all I want to say about that one. And then I'm going to finish this thing up with the last one, and I think it's probably the most important one, and that's your goals and your dreams. Honoring each other's dream is the secret ingredient for creating a love for a lifetime. I'm gonna say that again. Honoring each other's dreams is the secret ingredient to creating the love for a lifetime. Man, have that conversation. Talk about what are your goals, what are your dreams. The best thing that you can do when it comes to connecting with your partner is connect with their dreams. Let your partner know that, hey, this is the direction this is what's in my heart. This is what I want. This is what I dream about. When it's late at night and everybody's asleep and I'm in the bed, I'm staring at the ceiling and I am dreaming about this. Have that conversation with your spouse, because you're going to want your spouse to connect with you. I authored a book called The Power of Two. And uh, in The Power of Two, we talk about um, how how important it is to connect with your partner in order for you to be able to really live out the what God had designed for you. Because when it comes to your dreams, what you're going to realize is that those dreams were put into you for a reason. Okay. I personally believe that those dreams are put into you for because a bigger picture. Okay. So your dreams, as big as it is still only a part when it comes to the whole spiritual meaning of the dream. And what you're going to realize is that what you're doing is what you're actually filling out, and what you're actually connecting is a part of a whole. And it's important that you connect with the right person, because what you're going to be doing is making a commitment and saying that your dreams are important to me, and I'm willing to connect with you in order for you to live out your dreams. Because when we start talking about dreams, we also are talking about our purpose. And when we start talking about our purpose, we're talking about why God created us. So you have to have this conversation. You have to sit your spouse down, and you have to say, let me tell you about my dreams. Let me tell you about. Now, I'm not talking about going to sleep. I had a dream like that last night. No, I'm talking about that. You can't even sleep because you're staring into, you know. I know when I stared in the ceiling, and all I'm thinking about is, man, God, this got to happen. Those are the things I dream about. And from there you're going to start your plan. And I promise you, um there's not going to be a dream that you can ever dream that if you achieve it and you don't have your spouse with you at the end of that dream, at the when that dream come to fruition, if your spouse is not with you, you are going it's not you're not going to be totally fulfilled, and that is not what how God even intended it to be. Okay. So those are the 8 conversations that you should have before you get married. Okay, before you say I do. That trust conversation, conflict conversation, the sex conversation, the work and money, family, the fun and adventure, the growth and spirituality, and the last one, the dream. So, guys, that's what I wanted to share with you tonight. I appreciate everybody for joining. I know so wasn't able to get on tonight. We had some technical issues or whatever. So, and I ain't gonna lie to you, I really and truly was surprised that I was able to get on, because I've been having internet problems all day, and at the last minute it kicked on, and I was really kind of surprised that it did. So we just went on and rolled with it. So anyway, guys, good night. We will be back next Thursday at 8 o'clock, and until then, you guys, and be blessed, and see you next time. Peace.